How long did he do?
He's still locked up, to give you an idea. So I'm not reminding him what years he has left, but he's got a long way to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was just recently?
No, that was over 8, 9 years ago.
So
Yeah. He's got some time to go.
young kid?
At the time, he was young. He was in his 20s, so.
I mean, and then you ruin, and you know, you feel bad. Well, I feel bad mostly. I think everybody feels bad, but I can relate. I mean, I told you that, stuck on opioids 8 straight years, and I actually, I kicked it myself, cold turkey. But I remember praying to my dad, and I said to him, I'm like, my next step is heroin, and I'm not coming back. Because I know, like, I see that shit. I know what it's like. I know what the pills were doing to me. Yeah. And I know the next step, because you chase that, when you get that initial high, you're never getting that same high ever again. And then it just becomes a major addiction. And it was the same thing with me. Back pain, somebody introduced me to Vicodins, and I do everything to excess. And Vicodins then turned into Oxys. In the last year and a half, I was probably taking 6 to 10 a day. Snorting them, fucking functioning, what I thought was functioning. Sure. I already had a bad temper, so my spikes were like this, and then add alcohol to that, which a lot of people know or don't know, your levels of alcohol go way, you can drink so much more when you're on opioids. For whatever reason, I don't know. I already had, like, I was able to be a pretty good drinker, so, but on top of that, when you're taking the opioids, I could drink all day, all night, as long as I had more to feed my addiction.
I understand.
And then I work off of 2-3 hours of sleep, feel like shit, wake up, and then repeat the cycle.
Sure. And how many cops during their career, even after when they retired, gone down that same path? You know, yes, sometimes we're looking for something to relieve that stress, and you get into a certain pattern. It's hard to look back sometimes.
Yeah, and that's what it is, a pattern.
Yeah.
And then once you're in the pattern, now my pattern is the gym every day,
sure,
7 days a week, 8 hours sleep. That's what I need. I used to work off 20 something years being on Wall Street, work off 3-4 hours of sleep. Get in at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, out the door by 7:30, 6:30, gone. Think I'm functioning at my desk, not really. I'm trying to, like, stay awake basically, but then repeat the cycle, go out that night, do it all over again. And then I finally got down here in Florida, and I was like, this shit's gotta, I thought 4 or 5 hours sleep was good. And my wife's like, no. Yeah. You need 8 to feel good. And now I get it. But it's been a blessing. This part of my life has been amazing, but looking back on when I had a lot more stuff, I thought my life was, I look back on it now and I was like, God, that was terrible. Yeah. It was terrible, but I was in a bad cycle. And I feel bad for a lot of people. This is why I do the podcast, because you telling this means that there's so many people that are just regular people out there that get hooked. And I hate to say it, big pharma, government keeps allowing this shit to happen. And here we are today, like, you know, and these kids get hooked on pills. And then what do? They go on the streets, and then it's not even kids, it's adults too. Yeah. You know, I was an adult. Like, I made that choice.
Many times, CJ, on the street, it's hard to get people that are not police officers, to get the bad guys to admit to what we're just talking about. But in my career, I was fortunate enough to do a lot of interviews inside the jail. So now I'm talking to the same guys that played hard ass 6 years ago on the street, and now they have a different outlook. Many of them now are up on, now they're, I met God in jail, to each their own. I met God in jail, I changed my life. Some just continue to go through that cycle, like, you know, they're just defeated. I'm done going to the county jail, I'm done going to prison. My boys don't put money on the books like they promised. No one's taking care of my mom like they promised. And they realize at the end that, you know, it is. It's all a scam. One kid came back and told me, did some time for murder, 24 years, came back to the front desk of the police department I was at that time. Front desk sergeant calls me, says, hey, so-and-so is at the front desk. And I said, well, impossible, Sarge. He's locked up in prison. He's like, no, he's standing right in front of me. Realized, well, shit, probably 24 years. He's out. Let me go down there. We pat him down. We bring him back into the lobby. We sit down and talk. He wanted to come by and thank me, right? Because he said, for the first 15 years of me being locked up, I wanted to kill you. He said, every time, this was his quote, every time I woke up in the middle of the night, I was on the upper bunk of my prison cell in downstate Illinois. Every time I woke up, that ceiling of that cell, he said, was 3 inches from my nose. He said every time a chip of lead-based paint fell from that ceiling and landed in my mouth as I was trying to sleep, I wanted to kill you because I blamed you, you know? And I changed my life finally, right? So those are very, very few where you actually have an opportunity to go back and talk to people like that. Yeah. He actually came to us, you know?
That's incredible.
And you never know. You never know when it's the opposite. I was a month before I retired. I think I was on the phone with my brother. I was at a Walgreens in Chicago suburbs, and I'm in my tack vest and jeans. I had an unmarked police car for most of my career. So he's in front of me in line or about to pay for something, and he looks back, big dude, I could tell from the size of his back, like he was in the gym or locked up. So he looks back at me and gives me a nod and says, "Hey, what's up, Cap?" which is short for my last name, which is pretty much my nickname on the street. And I give him a nod back, "Hey, man, what's up?" And as I'm on the phone, my brother's like, "Who is that?" And I'm thinking, where do I remember the face from? Because he definitely looks familiar. He pays, he makes his purchase, he walks out. I'm about a minute behind him, and as I'm walking out the door, it hits me. We put him away 14 years ago for a shooting, right? So my brother, not being involved in police work in my area, made a point to me over that phone that day and made me think. And I said, man, I almost didn't recognize that guy. And my brother said to me, how about if he was behind you in line and spotted me before I spotted him? And he had that one chance to take a shot at me before, you know.
Yeah.
I put him away for 14 years of his life, right? So timing is everything. Always put your head on a swivel, you know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, that's nuts.
Simple things like that.
Yeah, simple things you don't think. And most people, again, not being in law enforcement, don't think like that. Like, by the way, did he just walk out? No, like there was there was no more. What's up?
I haven't seen him ever since then. I retired. So that was that last chance he probably had to get at me. If in fact he was behind me in line, but I happened to be behind him, so he had to look back, and we made eye contact, and obviously you could tell that we're the police, and gave me that nod, and he just had that look on his face.
Do you remember everybody you put away?
I do not. And here's the flip side of that. Okay. Everybody remembers you. Yeah. We go on to our next case. I'm worried about my kid having a fever. I got my 13-year-old football. A lot of things. Yeah. I'm traveling between Chicago and Florida because I brought my family here 6 years while I was a cop, going back and forth. Got 1,000. Am I going to make the flight tomorrow to get home? I got to teach this class in Kansas, all this other shit. And then I go on to the next case. The person that you locked up sits in that cell will never forget your face again. Ever. That's the problem we get snuck up on, because people definitely, obviously that's why I write about the Abdul Love case. Yeah, the guy that tried to have me killed. Now here's a gangbanger, dope dealer. So of course we can. He's a high level dope dealer. I was not in the narcotics unit. I could give a shit about this case, to be honest with you. But we're on a detail. We're just stopping a lot of cars that night in that district, in that area, and just happened to pull down a traffic stop. Right, pull the traffic stop. One question leads to another. He has 2 kilos of cocaine in the back seat. We make a nice pinch. Case is open and shut. Gets locked up in the county jail. The only person he cares about now is the person that he thinks set him up, right? Or his co-defendant, his friend, that didn't do what he wanted him to do. And the cop that put the handcuffs on him, or the cop that got the confession from him when you're looking at him, right? Sits in the county jail and reaches out to somebody else saying, I'm trying to kill this cop. Will you help me? That guy's like, sure. What do you need me to do? Making phone calls from the jail. These guys know that a lot of times we listen to their phone calls, so he's trying to distance himself. Long story short, the person that he reached out to yes.
Not to cut you. Again, this is like TV shit. Yes. Like, so I thought they only get one call. Like, they can keep calling? Like,
no, and one call during processing. Once you get locked up in the county jail, you have a regular call system. You can definitely make calls.
Oh, plenty.
Yeah. I'm not sure what their schedule is, but you'll get calls on a regular basis. Calling from, you get collect call from the county jail. You probably get one once a week, once a day. I'm not sure what the rules are.
Right.
It all depends from state prison or county jail to county jail. So we locked him up. He's in the county jail. He's now supposed to be there for the next 6 months to a year fighting his case.
Right.
So as he's sitting and fighting his case, he reaches out to another guy in the jail saying, I'm trying to kill this cop. Luckily, that person flips and comes to us and says, hey, there's a guy in the jail that wants to kill Cappelletti and who he thinks is an informant, another person. So due to that person coming forward, we introduced an undercover agent into the jail to have conversations with the guy. through a glass door, through a glass window, like you're on during visitation.
Yeah.
And the guy says, in a nutshell, you wants a job to get done, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. They agreed on a price, about $40,000. Also said, I'll pay a bonus of a kilo of cocaine if you kill him before Christmas, because the trial was coming up in December, right? This was back in 2005.
So 40 large and a kilo for you.
A kilo was a bonus if he kills me before Christmas.
Before Christmas.
Yeah. Now I look.
By the way, I think you're worth at least $1 million.
I appreciate that. And thinking back, TJ, we can laugh now.
No joke.
Of course. And thinking back,
but
that was the kinds of jokes. Those were the kinds of jokes I would make to cover up this reoccurring nightmare that I had of my kids looking into my casket. I'm fucking dead because this fucking asshole thinks he could take my life. You know.
Which is fucking scary.
Yeah. But anyways, we have thick skin and we move on. Long story short, we introduce an undercover agent. He gets the guy to say, hey, $40,000, I want to kill Cappelletti. Boom, we charge him up. First time in my area, solicitation to commit murder on a police officer. Got 20-something years for that, an additional 20-something years for the cocaine, 40-something years. Spend the rest of his life thinking about the mistake that he made. But here's the crazy part.
He was pretty high up.
He was, yeah. And here's the crazy part about all this. He tells the undercover, hey, when you kill this Cappelletti, you got to put some drugs in his pocket. So the undercover engages in that conversation, says, I ain't got time for fucking planting drugs. You want this cop dead, yeah or no? And goes, oh, I definitely want him dead. But you have to make him look like he's a dirty cop. And the undercover says, why? He says, because I did my homework on this guy. If they find a cop dead, there's other cops that during that traffic stop, you can go off witness testimony, police reports. They can still charge him and convict him with me being dead. But if they find him dead, they like this Cappelletti fuck so much that if they find him dead and he looks like a dirty cop, they'll probably drop all the cases he has to save his family the embarrassment. So that's how far ahead they think of shit sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah. Changed my life forever.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I always say that some of the guys that do that kind of shit are some of the smartest thinkers. If you could just harness that information to being something positive, they would do so much good for our country.
Oh, yeah. And some of the motions with that same individual, some of the motions, he represented himself. This was a college student. It wasn't a street thug. Yeah, he had street thug connections.
Right.
High-ranking dope dealer. For someone driving around with 2 kilos of cocaine, you ain't small anymore.
Yeah,
At least in our area, you were not. You're above that.
Yeah.
You're above the street corner selling rocks for $20. Right? But intelligent. College students, intelligent. But those are the people that say, look, I'm not going to jail, and I'm going to kill this fucking cop. And I'll do whatever it takes to get it done. I had to sell my house. I mean, I had to change my cars, drive different routes to how I get home. All my shit went to a P.O. box. I mean, it changed my life forever. Yeah. And based on that case, writing my second book that I'm going to publish on courtroom testimony. Never been an attorney, never wanted to be, not a judge, obviously. But if I could help one cop make the right choices and answer the right way to a trick question asked by a high-profile defense attorney and locks up somebody, then it's a success.
Nobody knows, unless you're in the thick of it like you were, first of all, the trauma that it could cause, and I understand like just the day-to-day stuff that you guys go through.
Sure.
Like, and then you guys eat it and then come home and have a family life and do all that shit. And this is why I respect you guys so fucking much, that you're able to continually live your life. But the stuff that you're talking about, like every single day, no joke, you put your life on a line and you're protecting others. Like, how in the world could we ever think about defunding people like you guys? Like, it doesn't make no sense to me.
Yeah. And here's the thing, TJ, I've taught in almost every state in the country. So not only do I could compare our mentality or our cop mentality in the Midwest, I've taught in every state across the United States almost, right? I don't give a shit which side of the fence you're on politically. Right. You can only assume where I stand. At the same time, it is common sense when it comes down to the basics of right from wrong.
Right.
Realizing that I'm the same cop that's going to work your kid's missing person case like I would if this fuck had a Trump t-shirt on. It makes no difference to me, right? But don't look at me based on the uniform that I wear or my political views, right? It's crazy. They hold it against you like it's a plague. One of the major reasons why I moved my family out of Illinois. I despise the politics. I despise the way they look at law enforcement. For 6 years, I was on a plane every week, 7 days on, 7 days off. Got my family out of Chicago or out of Illinois and got them to where I wanted them to be because I felt comfortable here. It ain't because we have palm trees in the fucking Walmart parking lot. No. I could care less, right? Do I appreciate that there's a gun in every school protecting my kids? That's how I look at things because I know the dangers that our kids going to school could face on a day-to-day basis.
I mean, think about metal detectors now.
Of course.
Every school, it doesn't matter what school, there's metal detectors. I just, it's crazy.
During COVID, I was on a flight. I boarded in O'Hare. I took a Uber ride from my parents' house to the terminal at O'Hare. The Uber ride was twice the amount. I think the Uber ride was $30. My flight from O'Hare to Florida was $15 during COVID. It was me and 3 pilots. As I sat in that plane that day, I thought to myself how different the world has become, right? And it makes, again, no difference of where you think you should be with your family or your political views. But at the end of the day, no one gives a shit what you're thinking when some guy walks into a gas station, puts a gun in a girl's mouth who's making minimum wage and blows her away for fucking $50 in a fucking register. If you think that you have, you could judge me or how I do my job in putting handcuffs on that fuck that deserves to go to prison for the rest of his life, then you can't find the right people to do the right job these days. You know, the best cops we have are the ones that have the life experiences, military background. You know.
And here's the thing. You said it earlier. When you started, there was 800 people at that academy, or
the testing process.
Testing. Yeah. Where do you think it is now? I mean, it's so.
I'll tell you where it's at. Yeah, it's the first time in history that police departments have kiosks at an airport. They're giving out applications like it's a free taste tester thing at the fucking Aunt Annie's Pretzels. Take an application. We need you, right? Yeah. We literally cannot fill the spots in a police department, even for our basic minimum patrol levels. We have a minimum number of cops we have to have on the road. Right. Cops are making double which is phenomenal for them, double the amount of money in overtime because we just can't fill the bodies that people don't want to be the police anymore. You know, and that's a shame.
I heard a stat. And again, don't quote me, it may not be perfect, but I heard from the ages of 18 to 24 that 70% of our children they're either obese, have mental issues, a combination of both, and are not equipped to go into the military or being a law enforcement. Like, now I'm hearing it from you and what it was like, and now where we are today, they're handing out, pamphlets at the
airport, a kiosk. Like you're buying a piece of jewelry or grabbing a donut off the stand. People just don't want to be the police because they realize they're the first ones that want to defund the police, but they're the ones that realize, we're the ones coming to check that alarm when your mom is afraid to open the door because someone's snooping outside.
I lived in Jersey for 20 something years. I was around for 9/11. I had a lot of friends that were in, towers because Wall Street was there, and but I also had a lot of cop friends that were there and stayed there for many, many weeks afterwards. I don't understand that part of it. Like, they're the first ones in, last ones out. Firemen and policemen. Like, I don't get it. Like, I just don't understand. It bothers me. Yeah.
Unfortunately, TJ, we don't have enough time in this podcast or in our life to flip people that actually think that way. I don't expect you to follow my viewpoints in life politically, even the kinds of decisions I make as a parent. But
right from wrong.
Right from wrong. It's all it is.
Simple.
Yeah, right from wrong.
Like, it's as simple as that. Like, you were. That's why I see every veteran, I see every police officer, retired, I thank them every day. Because I want them protecting me and my family. I want that. I mean, the veterans did what they did to keep our country free. Like, I mean, what? Like, it makes me sick. And I just...
One thing I could say after 20 years, TJ, that I left that job way worse than I started. right? I remember as a rookie, my first drive-by shooting, I was excited because I found 3 casings on the sidewalk. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
I found them when all the other officers missed them. I just happened to get lucky and flash my flashlight, and the 3 casings sparkled. I'm like, I found the 3 casings. One of our last shootings, when I left this job, 75 casings, 4 different calibers. So that is what we're dealing with today. We're dealing with cartel level of street crimes, like street level terrorists. 75 casings, 4 different calibers. Even if we solve that motherfucker, no one's getting charged. We have no idea who shot who first, what the reason, the motive was behind that. It is absolutely, like, it's almost like organized chaos. Like, where the hell do we begin to put these pieces of the puzzle together? You know?
75.
Yeah, casings at one crime scene. That is nothing these days.
Seriously?
Yeah, we have kids building their own guns. We call them switches. They'll make their own guns with pieces in the mail. Everyone's got a fanny pack. Everyone's got a 40-round mag, and they're just spraying people. So until, again, not only looking at the politics, until we actually, I've done enough investigations where I heard from the horse's mouth, from the bad guy, hey, I'll meet you on the Wisconsin side over the Illinois side, right? I'm sorry, vice versa. I'll meet you on the Illinois side rather than Wisconsin side, because they know they have a better chance if they do get pinched. They're out and about. They're done.
They're done.
Right. Don't go to Wisconsin because of this. Or don't go to Waukegan because they got a 20-man gang unit. I'll meet you in Zion, which is a suburb of Waukegan. They have no street crimes unit. They know where to do their dirt and their shit, right? They learn from the system, right? And if you get a bunch of cops, they just fucking get on this job just for the paycheck, and they made great money, right?
Yeah.
We got the wrong fucking people then,
right?
You know, because collecting that check, someone can make overtime in our area by walking the projects and trying to do some gang or drug suppression, or stand at a bowling alley, right? I was always the type to, let's walk through the project, see what kind of gun we get today, you know, because that's what I enjoy doing, right? Even if the case goes nowhere, I got a gun off the street.
How many guys? I have another friend in Jersey, and actually, just as we were talking about this, my oldest son's girlfriend, South Boston young lady, smart, strong as an ox. She's as big as a pencil. She kick your ass, and she's becoming a cop. I'm so proud of her, but I worry about that shit. Like, it's like, come on, I don't know. I'm happy that she wants it, and when I tell you, at some point she'll be probably running that for, one of those offices somewhere. Yeah. She's that good, and she'll be great. But like, as a parent, I'm sure your parents. I mean, your dad was a cop?
No, I was the first looking at him. First cop in my family.
First one.
First cop. My brothers came in after me. Oldest and youngest both came after me.
Wow.
Yeah, I was the first cop in my family. Never existed in the Cappelletti bloodline.
Wow.
Most cops, especially big Italian families.
Yeah, they have
Irish families.
Irish families, yeah, to everybody, uncles, brothers.
Or even any race. In bigger cities, usually the last name carries on from one generation to another. I was the first one, and that was what I wanted to do, and it was the best decision I made.
Yeah.
It led me to my secondary job now that I'm retired and teaching seminars. Allowed me to live a comfortable life, and I moved my family to a place where I want to raise them.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's a story.
I'm blessed to be here too.
That's the same here. Yeah.
Another quick question, because I'm always, and again, I don't know, maybe there was a part of me that wanted to be a cop, and like, as I respect, and I also have this thing about, like, I'm not afraid to do, like, you weren't afraid to walk through the projects. No. Like, no, I wouldn't be either. No. And not one, like, it's especially now that I don't drink and drugs are like, I've been around all those people. Like, I've been in company with them. I've bought shit from them. Like, I feel like I can do the job in my sleep. I'm sure there's a lot more behind it, but like, when you were walking through the projects, you ever turn any guy, like, when you, like, some of them, like, they're looking for somebody to talk to sometimes, no?
Yeah.
Like, they want to be like, all right, I need somebody. I have another buddy that does the same thing you do, and he does the same thing, runs through there, and they know him. As soon as he comes down the street, he talks to the guys on the corner, he knows what's going on, and he's like part of it.
Yeah, well, we try to talk, I'll be honest with you, TJ, we try to talk to everyone, right? Our biggest weapon we have is intel, right? Yeah. So we will, squeeze people for information. Is it easier for us to get information when I got the handcuffs on you and I got a gun that just pulled out of your waistband? They're more willing to talk, right? But I was always, not having worked directly to narcotics. Our street closed, what we looked like was mostly to target gangs. And even though they knew we're the police, it just to give us that 5 extra seconds of jumping out of a car, putting hands on. That's all our undercover work is pretty much just give us enough time to jump out of a car. Once we got out of the car, there's police everywhere on our bodies, right? Exactly. To get someone to, I was always good at cultivating informants for a reason, not because I worked narcotics or I did it better than other people, right? I put myself in that person's shoes. Timing is everything. If they don't want to go to jail today, what information can they give us to use to help somebody else? And sometimes in this game, you have to make the deal with the devil to go to the bigger fish, and that's how police work. That's how police work. Police work is when it comes to narcotics.
Oh yeah, You weren't really in the narcotics scene. I got a question because, I've watched them, a bunch of shows, movies, and sometimes you do undercover, and then you're involved in that gang. Yeah. Let's see, you get involved in the gang. They're doing blow, like they're doing coke, and they want you to do it. Like, I mean, you got to just be part of it, or
I'm sure there's certain. If you ask 10 cops that worked undercover, they'll give you 10 different answers, right? The answer is we should never partake in anything like that, right? So the best undercovers that I've worked with and I've learned from were the ones to deflect that conversation, saying, hey, for example, I got to piss for my parole officer tomorrow. I ain't got time to fuck around. Give me that bag and let's go. And they go right. But the best talkers we got are the ones that work undercover the best, right? Yeah. So it isn't like the movies, to be honest with you. A lot of drama that they put onto that, right? But there are those cases, those ATF cases, and the long-term investigations, and the motorcycle gangs, and even some of our street gang cases where a lot of cops did great undercover work. But it's a number one, it's a life-changing experience for the officer involved, right? For the security team, if you can only imagine the kind of security it takes on a consistent basis to protect the cop that has to go into a clubhouse or into some type of gang party and talk about a murder or talk about dope. It's very stressful for everyone involved. It really is. In my area, we mostly used confidential informants who are working off cases. We would send them in, again, voluntarily. We're not forcing anybody to do anything for us. If they want help in their case, if they want to go in and buy dope for us, they have that choice to say yes or no. Right? We're not.
So they already had a case open on themselves.
And they don't want to go to prison, right? Or they want to simply do it for money. They're going to go into the house, buy dope. We pay them the $50. We put the dope in evidence, and now we, kick in the door once we get a search warrant. So several different ways of approaching that type of investigation. And like I said, yes, 10 guys that I've worked undercover over the years, 10 different approaches.
I don't know if you. I'll be completely honest. I don't know if you I know the answer is you're not supposed to, but I don't know if me personally, I would have been like, I guess if you're really good at your job, you'll deflect.
You'll deflect. Yeah. Then if your hand is put to the flame where you're going to do this line, or you're the police and we're going to shoot you in the fucking face, then you have to pick and choose your battles. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And I'm sure there have been cases.
I'm sure there's been cases where that's happened.
The country, right?
Because at some point, and these guys almost like they get a feel, right? What's going on here? Now you don't want to be part of this.
The best cops I know is we put ourselves in those scenarios mentally before we walk in. If they say, fuck you, Dom, you're the police, what do I say now? Hey, Dom, are you wearing a wire? Not only do I say no, what else are you going to say? Fuck you, I ain't the police. Why would you think that? We have to have that same gift of gab, because if we don't, that's why the best cops I've worked with and I've learned from were the best talkers. Maybe not the smartest guy in school, but the one that a good liar has to have an answer off the cuff without hesitation, right? Because remember, good liars, they don't have to practice that gift of gab. It's a natural instinct that they have, right? Someone who's a book smart, maybe a commander that's been promoted through the ranks. I've seen commanders, with all due respect, they would show up to a homicide scene. They're a fucking soup sandwich. They have no idea. On the books, they know exactly what needs to be done. But trying to talk a murder suspect to come in voluntarily to come to us, that was our job. That was our forte, right? Because we had that gift of gab, thank God.
Yeah. Same with me.
Yeah.
I have the gift
I
of
could
gab.
tell.
I get the gift of gab.
I could tell, TJ, immediately when I saw you in the gym. I could tell.
When we first met. This is, so book number 2.
Yeah, called Courtroom Success Uncovered, Becoming a Star Witness. Every cop that's gotten his ass kicked, and not only police officer, any witness that's gotten his ass kicked on that witness stand, that is where I come in. I've interviewed enough high-profile attorneys. I've testified enough in 28 years, many of those in high-profile cases, street crimes, homicides, that I've made more mistakes than anybody. I've learned from those mistakes, and it is a great read. I'm excited to launch that. If you were to tell me, TJ, that Dom, you're going to be an author one day, I'd laugh at you. Right. If you're going to be an author of 2 published books, I'd laugh at you.
We talked off air about this, about me, and I'm like, hey, I kind of feel like I have a story to tell. It's maybe down the road, but like I never thought in a million years I'd write a book. Like,
TJ, how crazy is this? I'm not a reader.
Right.
I mean, I could probably count on 2 hands the amount of books I've read in my lifetime. It's including going through fucking high school, right?
Me too.
Right. But I learned that I could. There are people out there that love, from someone sitting at home when it's 20 below zero outside, or a cop that's got his squad car backed up into a wall, feels safe enough to maybe decompress, 15-minute break, and read a chapter in that book. If I could have one cop or make the right decision because he read that book, it's not only a how-to, but actually some stories of how it showed it worked. Right. And it makes me proud.
It should.
Thank you.
You're an unbelievable man. Your first book, how many people have come to you and thanked you?
Many.
Like hundreds.
Many. Yeah, I've sold a lot of books. Obviously, they sell on Amazon, but I sell most of my books at seminars because people are like you. They want to talk to you. They want to shake your hand. They want you to sign their book because they're taking that with them, saying, I get the message that this author has, and now I have a token with me.
And there's so many people out there like that, huh?
Yeah, there are. True. There are. They'll sit there. They love reading, and they in silence or on. People always tell me, Dom, why don't you do an ebook or an online book of some sort, right? An audiobook. I'm not at that point yet. Why? Because I want to take the stage, and I want to talk to you in person. I want you to see my face. Then afterwards, you could buy my audiobook or my hardcover, right? But I want them to see how I look. I want them to see my tears fall from my face. I'm talking about, my buddy taking his life, or how this guy tried to have me killed. And that's how you connect with people. You see people. Absolutely. And for me to take a stage in front of 500 gang cops in North Carolina at their conference a few weeks back, and people coming up to me and shaking my hand, it just makes me feel like this is where I need to be. Yeah, this is where I need to be in my life after I retire.
Because you're helping people.
Yeah.
That's the main thing in life. Sure. We're helping people. Sure. That's what this podcast
is. It doesn't have to be only. I want to read you something in a second.
Please.
It doesn't have to be just with law enforcement. Just to have an open ear sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes the less you say, just being fucking present and listening to people, have them unload, on you. It takes a good friend to take that, to give that advice. I have a letter I carry with me.
Please share.
That I want to share with you.
Please.
And I do it at my seminars. And it's written by a dear friend of mine. I obviously have permission from his wife, Lisa, to read this to you. This was in 2012, kind of put things in perspective, written by a very, very good cop. And that letter reads, I have typed and retyped this letter many times. So if I sound stupid, there's now finally a good reason. I apologize to my many friends that deserve a personalized letter, and I hope that you don't take offense. I hope that every officer takes inventory of their own lives, realizing how important having friends is to them. Make sure you cover each other and bring each other back home safe every night. I have valued my many friendships I have developed within the department, and I would hope that I've given some good memories for people to reflect upon, and not only the way I departed. I want everyone to know it was always my goal to make the person I was teasing to laugh harder than anyone else. Without getting too wordy, I wish to apologize to my dear friends that have reached out to me out of a genuine concern for my well-being. There was nothing you could have done for me. I spent the last 43 years pretending that I was okay, when really I was not. I pray that no one thinks they have missed something that could have helped me. I was going to do this no matter what interference I had. My friends, I loved having you guys in my life, and I hope that my passing gets you guys some extra overtime. That's a dude where, by looking at his personality, you think he would never take his own life, ever, right? There are so many cops across the country that think they have no one else to turn to. And, puts that letter on somebody's desk in my PD, goes home and takes his life, Now his wife and his beautiful family have to live with that. Now, the reason why I do that to myself every time I have a chance to read that letter, if I can get one cop to open up and tap somebody, back in the day, TJ, it's all about you can't be a fucking rat.
You can't
be a rat. You know my secrets, dude.
Yeah.
And I don't give a shit what his vice was. Alcohol, money, women. Who gives a shit?
Whatever.
Right? The fact of not being a rat, we all knew.
Yeah.
People had an idea what some of us have going on in our lives.
Yeah.
But when you think you're, blue bleeds blue and all this other bullshit, we cover for each other. If you know something, tap them on the shoulder, say, knock it the fuck off, and I'm here for you. And we don't do that enough,
Yeah.
Because people like that really think they have nowhere else to go to besides that, So if I get one cop to turn around and change somebody's life, that's why I read that.
Well,
that's
that
the
was
promise
incredible.
I made for.
That one hit home.
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah, that's and he was.
I do this to myself every time I read it in front of fucking 800 people.
I believe it.
I'm telling you, my man. Yeah, that's the
whole place is probably
the part.
crying.
Yeah, that's the part I have to do, and that's the message. So it isn't just protecting the police is being good to each other, these days, and just that open ear sometimes.
Poor guy. He was
Yeah.
fighting with demons his whole life.
Oh, forever. 43 years, I know. Yeah. So on a lighter note, if someone sees this podcast and realizes maybe, I spotted something, I never want to talk to somebody, but people that I've worked with, their people are readily available for us to talk to, right? And a message that came back to me and says, what's weird? It says we're usually the first ones that spot these red flags at work because cops will spend more time at the PD than the family, and a lot of times the red flags we see at the work is because of the family. So if you see something, say something,
Yeah, that's incredible. You were supposed to come into my life. You were supposed to be, and I can't thank you enough for coming out today. And you are a very busy man, and I can't thank you enough for doing this. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to our listeners. And we look forward to first of all, get book number 1, and then number 2 is coming out.
Yeah, probably within the next, I'm guessing 2 to 4 months. But
awesome.
if they go to domcappelletti.com, there's a link that goes right to Amazon, or go to Amazon and put in criminal-related interviewing made easy, or Dom Cappelletti in Amazon. It'll pop up. And then my second book will be on Amazon as well.
Fantastic. Guys, that's another episode of Kaizencast, and please, this one was amazing, and I can't thank you enough, Dom. It's been fantastic, and continue to listen to us, please. We've also added Apple Music and X, so we're on every major social media page now. So please pass the word along and listen. We got some really good stuff going on here. Have a great day.